Mass fightings are taking place in the tech industry at large, and Nintendo notwithstanding, in the video game industry in particular, and the industry's commitment to DEI is one of the major reasons for this collapse. Now, the backlash is starting to hit those enforcing and implementing these toxic ESG policies, and they're none too pleased about it. There are many reasons why tech at large, and video gaming in particular, is in something of a crisis. Bloat and the completely unneeded expenses that come with that is a big one, and that is a problem entirely of the industry's own making. But on top of that, the video game industry has been all too eager to adopt the S in ESG, which in turn spells DEI. This has not only made the bloat problem worse and contributed towards rising costs across the board, it has also made the end product, the games themselves, more divisive and exclusionary, driving the paying customers away. And that, in a nutshell, is what corporate ESG and DEI does: increase production costs while also decreasing revenue. Yet, the big video game studios spared no expense in adopting it, and they even paid extortionary sums to third-party consulting agencies that helped them implement the very policies that would drive customers away. There are others, but the most famous of such consulting agencies is Sweet Baby Inc., the company whose creative interference, or input as they would call it themselves, was so disastrous to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that it was highlighted in the Warner earnings call, and its failure will have severe repercussions for developer Rocksteady, and well-earned ones at that. This failure also made Sweet Baby Inc. a household name among gamers at large, which, as we're about to see, has gamers organizing to find other games Sweet Baby Inc. worked on so that they may be boycotted. But before we get to that, let's see exactly what it is that Sweet Baby Inc. does in the name of ESG and DEI, and how incredibly damaging they are to the creative process, and let's do that by seeing what they themselves say that they do on their webpage. Their About Us page reads: founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal in the People's Republic of Canada and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video game industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. That's a lot of Orwellian 1984 style doublespeak right there. Let's see how they aim to achieve these wonders, and they do that by revealing their approach. After having been contracted for the job, they will presumably demand a copy of the game document, which is basically the blueprint for the finished game, which describes the story, the characters, the level design, and game mechanics. With this in hand, Sweet Baby Inc. will set to work. We begin with an all-hands review and discussion of the project material. Everyone at Sweet Baby sees your project and shares their thoughts, feelings, and ideas. Feelings are a big part of this, because the unspoken goal here is that every one of Sweet Baby Inc.'s overtly sensitive employees, who are in the perpetual state of victimhood, end up feeling safe and seen in the final product. Then, and only then, will they feel good about it. They continue. We do this because it kicks the project off with a multitude of perspectives, beginning a conversation that ensures the work is richer and more resonant before it's even put to paper. We then create and complete narrative deliverables by keeping the player in mind with a focus on user experience and emotional design. We aim to consult with honesty, transparency, and a conversational approach to help find the best direction for your project. Yeah, not much data-driven advice to be found there. But does it strike anyone just how intrusive this is? This isn't Sweet Baby Inc. just offering some advice on how to score some additional DEI brownie points in a game that is already mostly visualized and mapped out by professional game developers who know what they're doing. No, this is Sweet Baby Inc. practically dictating every facet of the game from the ground up. And indeed, going further down the site, they make it clear that they'll micromanage the story and narrative in ways that make it all about representation, about which they write, "We believe that representation is key to connecting players and audiences." Well, I'm glad they stated right off the bat that this is their belief, because there's absolutely no objective testable evidence whatsoever to suggest that this belief in any way is grounded in reality. On the contrary, recent developments both in gaming, comics, and on the big and small screen suggest that if anything, the opposite may be the case. So for any game developer out there contemplating hiring Sweet Baby Inc., or indeed any other company like them, take heed that you are hiring a company that will be changing your game in accordance with their beliefs, i.e. their religion. And then you better pray that your audience will still respond to it afterwards, because a Hail Mary is all you'll have at that point. Their pitch continues. We're part of an inclusive and knowledgeable community of diverse consultants, able to cover a wide range of cultural and sensitivity topics. We know nothing about making video games though. It doesn't actually say that, but it's kind of hinted at between the lines. Our approach leads with the creation of joy in marginalized players and seeks to be additive rather than strictly corrective. In other words, they seek to create joy in the smallest of minorities that may not even be into the game in question in the first place. And then they're just gonna assume that whatever has been done to bring joy to the smallest of minorities that may not be into gaming in the first place will still create equal joy among the core target audience of actual paying gamers, while offering zero, absolutely zero evidence that one follows from the other. In fact, the one thing not present anywhere on this whole page is any evidence of any kind suggesting that employing the services of Sweet Baby Inc. will translate to increased sales, which obviously it won't, because as anyone of sound mind can plainly see, the only thing this borderline religiously driven company does is ruin what otherwise might have been good games from the ground up. But then again, that destruction is what DEI is ultimately all about. What boggles the mind is that so many for-profit game companies actually fell for this scam, and quite a few have. Under projects, Sweet Baby Inc. proudly listed games they've been working on, as well as their commercial partners, quite a few of whom are companies that right now are financially struggling and in a position where they need to fire their staff by the thousands. Which is hardly surprising, considering that these companies are so poorly managed that they hired Sweet Baby Inc. in the first place. Because these companies and properties are public, a Steam tracker was created listing games that Sweet Baby Inc. has worked on, recommending that you steer clear of these games. And a number of Sweet Baby Inc. employees saw this, had a meltdown about it on X, and then in keeping with being the commies they are, they tried to have both the tracker and its creator cancelled. The end result of that, as was diligently covered both by Fandom Pulse and Bounding Into Comics, links to both of their write-ups which complement each other beautifully are in the description. Not only did this cancellation attempt fail, proving that the Streisand effect is real, they signal boosted this tracker in a major way, both directly and indirectly helping it growing from nothing till, at the time of making this video, nearly 100,000 followers. And that's a good thing. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League wasn't a fluke. It was simply the end result of the video game industry embracing the DEI aspect of ESG, and gamers rightfully voted against it with their wallets, as they should any and all other games Sweet Baby Inc. and any other company like them had a hand in developing, because that's the only way that gamers can take back gaming. And there's ripple effects from that, because ESG and DEI is being rejected across the board, not just in gaming. Finally, more and more are catching on to what ESG and DEI is, and that it's toxic, anti-business, and anti-consumer. And so many realize that now, that BlackRock, the chief bulldog pushing for ESG and DEI in the first place, has to admit in SEC filings that CEO Larry Fink's obsession with ESG and DEI could materially hit their business, which I have to say is only fair. Their predatory practices forcing ESG has cost the companies implementing it billions, so why should they get off the hook? Everyone, keep voting with your wallets. Slowly but surely, it's working. Even though some are in complete denial about that, as we'll see in the next video. For now, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments.